So I just use Node.js, but according to your skill set, you can use that Python or Node.js something. And if there are no questions, then roles and responsibility basically. Let me open that PPT. My screen is visible, right? I'm audible.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Okay. So there might be a different roles and responsibility basically, but I just try to catch the unique major one basically. Where it is gone. Okay. Okay, there are certain roles and responsibility basically, but I just try to capture the major one which we can just understand. So monitoring also there as a as a DevOps engineer. Sometimes there will be a separate monitoring team in the project, but at least you should have at least one go through what's going on with the resource utilization or any log monitoring, any error logs out there. At least when you log in basically in your day-to-day activities basically. Okay, so infrastructure monitoring is one of the responsibility over there. Release management, obviously, if you have any deployments in the pipeline. So process normally we follow, definitely we should have a Jira ticket over there. I'm just trying to explain with the current projects on the basis basically. In the other project there might be a different process they follow. It's a depend on your project manager who is handling and the decided basically according to their standard. Okay, so but we are as a release management we are using Jira ticket there. And normally task wise we create one Jira ticket there. Okay, and for the release ticket we created separate ticket which will the tagging basically with the release basically rel slash the ticket number whatever there is the Jira ticket basically. And in that Jira ticket we need to mention all the steps basically, what the changes we are trying to deploy. Okay, what is the rollback strategy, who is the developer, write down the code basically, and who are trying to who is the deployment basically deployment person, or we can say simply DevOps person name, and who is your project manager name or something. There is some certain process we need to add in the ticket basically. This might be the different to different depend on the project basically and your company standard, but we are following this way. And in the release, before releasing, we are using the github. GitHub, there we need to create one tag basically from the master branch. Okay, this is for the stable release basically. If the certain things going on like any problem after the deployment, so we can uh, have a stable branch there, a tag basically, so from there we can just roll back basically in that situation. Okay, so I will show you that in the upcoming next session, in as part of the branching strategy. So it will more clear on that. Okay, so release management we follow that process. We should have a Jira ticket, and we have a maintain down cycle basically. So Friday we mostly not do the deployment just to for the monitoring aspect, because it's let's say we and the late evening basically we avoid to deploy anything basically on the production environment, because we should have some monitoring time, right, after the deployment at least 3 4 hours. If there are any certain surge in the utilization of the CPU memory or something because of any changes whatever, so we try to prefer on the Monday basically, because we will get the sufficient time for the monitoring and troubleshooting if there are any things come. Okay, And for the further status, like a branching strategy, we will see in the branching strategy how we create the branch and what is the different kind of branching strategy there, and how we can deploy it production. Okay, we will separately cover that. But these are the part of the roles and responsibility, basically release management. Okay, and for the release management, it's again depend on the project to project and the company to company. Some might use GitHub Actions, some might use GoCD, some might use Jenkins pipeline or other way, basically. There are lots of tools in the market. Okay, version controls, obviously, most of the organization use GitHub. Okay, or sometimes company use GitLab there, or any, I think Circle CI also there, for the, or Bitbucket, I think. So these are the other tools as well.
Circle CI is for the integration, like
Yeah,
Jenkins.
yeah, but Bitbucket I think you can use, right?
Yeah, Bitbucket and Git.
Hmm. So, but most of the organization use GitHub, as according to my experience. But again, it's depend to company, so they might use different tools over there. Cost optimization, basically, when you design any architecture in the AWS cloud or any cloud, basically, so you should follow the standard practice as the AWS suggests. Follow the six framework pillars, basically. So you should not create a unnecessary large scale of the hard drive there, or storage, or instance type, basically. So you just need to focus on the when you design the any architecture of the infrastructure. So you should just first get the proper requirement and understanding, like how much traffic workload, basically. According to that, you just need to consider these points as a part of the cost optimization. Okay, if there are any resources unnecessary utilized and no one is using. Okay, so this you can just take action as part of the auditing there, and you can just delete those resources if there is no use cases, basically. Okay, and incident management, let's say you have a production environment and you get any alerts, basically. Okay, if you are personally managing the monitoring the infrastructure, or some might maybe different situation, like there is a level 1 team, basically L1, they might report you, there is something alert we received. So just in that situation, you might just do the troubleshooting part, basically, with the incident management. Like there might be a different Slack channels, or if you are using Teams, Microsoft Teams, there might be a different alerting channels, basically, where you need to put the message like acknowledgement or something. I am working on that, this alert, basically. This way you can just handle as part of the incident management. For the log management, this is for the log visualization, monitoring. You can use Grafana for that, or some might use ELK stack there, or some might use Nagios. It's again different use cases, basically, different tools in the market. So you can just use that log management for the logging monitoring, basically. And ISC deployments, which is similar to Terraform or CDK, basically. Or you might use a cloud formation if you want to create any resources in the cloud, basically any cloud. So you can just try to create your Jira ticket first, and then write down the whatever you have a stack file there in the let's say Terraform, and you can just do the changes for the in the pipeline, basically. And if you have any modification, like you want to upgrade your instance type or something, or you want to add one more bucket, then you can just write down according to your stack file, and you can just do the deployment for that. If you have any resource deletion, let's say you have one instance there, and you have a task completed, now there is no use case of that instance, right? So you can just remove that code from the US Terraform files state file, and you can just deploy that. Okay, backup and restore, obviously, when you design the architecture, you should take the backup, depends on how much retention period. It's a depend on the criticalness. Okay, 7 days or 1 month, something. So for the any failure perspective, you can just manage the backup and restore their process. RCA is basically, have you heard about the RCA, root cause analysis?
Yes.
Okay, so you might be meet this kind of situation where if you have a running production server, there might be a different issues you will face. So you need to submit one RCA report, basically. In that report, different project follow different template, basically, for the RCA. but the main area is like what is the issue basically. You need to mention there how much time it take to resolve, and what action you have taken basically, and what is the impact of the time period basically, what is the business impact. There might be a different template, but I am just explaining this way. So in that RCA report you need to add all the details basically. Jira and Confluence, I think you already aware. We use Jira for the ticketing system, and Confluence for the any if you have any infrastructure document, like we are using Confluence for the documentation. Like we are adding the steps basically, how to create the Lambda functions and the API gateway or other resources basically. How what steps we taken care, and which things basically infrastructure information basically as similar to inventory, so we added in the Confluence documentation over there in the project. So you can use that for the documentation perspective. Info audit, it's again depend on the project and the standard basically, company standard. Some might you there might be a external auditing team which audit your account basically, AWS account, and they might they might be used any other tools, or they might personally check through the any auditing services in the AWS. Okay, guard duty or something, they use that tools to analyze your AWS account basically. So or sometimes we personally we can just quarterly do the auditing basically for the infrastructure. Meeting attending meeting means your daily scrum meeting or stand up, basically to give the updates and take the updates basically. So these are the some day to day activities. Client call, if there is a any client call schedules for a project requirement or any discussion normally, any further changes, updates, or anything basically. So you need to take part of that. Teams discussion, this is just for the internal purpose. If there are any discussion required, then we can just take a infra management, similar to as I already explained for the Terraform file based changes basically. If you want to add delete or any create a modification resources. Troubleshooting, obviously if you have any production issues or any other related to pipeline issues for or any dependent packages issue, or any suppose if you have a case cluster, then you might get different troubleshooting there. So this is also part of that. Team collaboration, this is just if you have any requirement, so before setting anything in the infrastructure, you can just need to collaborate within the team basically first to understand the requirement clearly before design and create any infrastructure by using ISE tool basically. Okay, this is just for the collaboration part. User management in AWS, we don't do like user creation in the AWS IMA service. There might be a company wide AD use integration basically. But if you get any requirement like create one role basically, cross account role, which we have already seen in the last session. Okay, cross account access, so there might be you need roles, right, with the proper permission. So in that case you will get this kind of activities. Continuous learning, obviously if we apart from the day to day activities and the roles, this is just I just added additional part. It's not part of the uh, roles and responsibility. This is just a additional learning point of view. I have just added. If you after this certain deployments and the other general regular tasks basically, if you get any free time, so you can use that free time to learn new things, or any your interested area basically, so you can utilize that time. Diplomatic skill is just another way basically. Sometimes you might face this issue or not, I'm not sure, but there might be a what we can say, there might be a some other project manager basically, or any team basically, team members or team lead, they might you unnecessary make you trouble basically with the you might there might be a their fault in the coding or something, but they try to blame on you, like deployment fail ho gaya or something, right? There might be a different situation in the project, different. So in that situation you need to handle the diplomatic way. So just don't try to write down any odd word in the mail thread basically. because it is a a return statement, so there might be a escalation part. So you can just use diplomatic skill there just to handle proper way. So this is just a additional part. In the next, I'm just preparing for the resume preparation basically. So I will try to cover in the next session resume and the branching strategy. Okay, and also I'm trying to cover the error code and meaning. So as we have seen the 400 or 500, 503, 504 or 404 something, right? There are different error code basically, so I'm trying to cover that as well. So probably next week we will cover that. Tomorrow I will try to cover this resume preparation and branching strategy, so we will cover most of the part. So any doubt in the roles and responsibility, or you want to add any other activities?
Uh, as a part of cost optimization, do you get the like audit for all of the infra, and from there you came to know that what are the resources who are utilizing, like over utilizing?
Normally we can just use this dashboard basically, the billing dashboard, and we can just analyze the cost, which resources is getting the more cost. And let's say, let me show you, I may not have this such a resources, but in real time cases, let's say for example you have one ec2 instance, right? And you are getting the large cost for that ec2 instance. So you can just check that ec2 instance configuration basically. Let's say I have this ec2 instance, let me open that. So you find out that resource ec2 instance is consuming the lots of cost basically. So you can just go to that ec2 instance, okay, and you can just analyze it like by using monitoring tools. You can just select that, either you can from use from here as well, monitoring part, or if you are using grafana or something, you can just check the records basically. Let's say I'm just using cpu utilization. uh, let's say I want to pull the report for last 6 months. So I can just check the pattern basically. As you can see, I just have only few spikes, okay, only sometimes, not the frequent one. If you have such kind of requirement use cases, issues like you are getting very low use cases like flat or within a 5% or something. So in that situation, if you are using a large amount of instance types, so you can reduce that according to your use cases. So obviously cost will reduce, right? According to your instance type. This is just a one example. Also you can check for the memory utilization in the your tool, and you can just take action according to that. And also you need to check your storage basically. If you unnecessarily created very huge volume like 100 GB or something, but if you log into your server and just check, you are using only 10 GB utilization, right? So you are unnecessarily paying 90 GB storage. So you can, according to that use cases or issues, you can just take the action. So this is just one example. And if you have a s3 bucket which is getting more cost basically, okay, and if you can just simply go to that s3 bucket and you can just analyze how much storage are there, size, and how much is that data really required or not. If that data is not required basically, let me open this one, and in the matrix you can just see how much, you don't need to run the command like in the linux we normally use df-h or something, okay. So you can just see here bucket size and the number of objects. You can, and even objects you can just go that, and you can just check from there files and folder basically. If you feel that feel like any folders data unnecessary, we are storing the data for the longer period of time, right? So in that case you can just configure the life cycle policy, which we have discussed. You can just simply create the life cycle policy, but before that you need to discuss within your team and your manager basically. And obviously client also you need to include if that data is really required for 1 month or something. So if they doesn't require data after the 1 month, then you can just configure the life cycle policy, and you can just expire it after the 1 month, okay, and you can delete
But suppose
it.
we have suppose you have 100 of buckets,
Hmm.
and out of which, like how will you check like particular bucket is getting over, like it's getting.
I just show you right in the matrix option.
No, but no,
Ha.
my question is like,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
did you get audit report from that team or?
For this purpose, company, we are not using any third party tool, or maybe the client side they are using, because we are not handling the billing part. There is a separate team who taken care. But now in the market there are lots of paid tool actually, so they are integrating with the AWS, and they will get the audit report from there, which resources consumption and how much utilization there. So there might be, you can use paid tool basically for the billing part. I am just showing from the console basically. But enterprise organization
Okay.
use a third party tool where they integrate the dashboard there, and they will get the additional option there to monitor, the
And we
utilization.
can set up budget alert.
Yeah, we can
I
budget.
think you showed
Yes, I have
us
shown.
last time.
Yes, yes. That is just for the notification, right? Your
Notification, yeah.
billing got cross, right? But for the
Okay.
say cost
But that is
optimization,
for the account level, right?
uh,
Not for the resources.
yeah, account level, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try to check here if we get that. But the enterprise organization use third party tool for the billing monitoring, so they use that
Okay.
for the auditing purpose, and according to that
Mm-hmm.
case, they take the action. And also you can get the usage report from here as well. Last time I shown, right?
Yes.
Analyze and usage cost, you can just explore
Mm-hmm.
this
Right.
option. Yeah. So if you just get any spikes in particular months, let's say you are using this AWS Guruji S3 bucket, uh, from Jan to till it's working normal, utilization is very normal. But suddenly after October or something, it's, utilization gets spike, and you might seen in the billing as well the utilization, you can select the time period here, like let me select past 3 months, let's say. Okay. And apply service, you can just select filter here, just type S3. Okay. Simple storage service, and apply it, and you can just analyze it. As you can see, for August it was not much use cases, but in September you can just get the spike, right? So this kind of, you can just analyze it, and you can just take the action. If the data is really not required in the S3 bucket, so why you should pay unnecessary bill, right? So you can just if the data is not required, you can just configure the lifecycle policy, and you can delete automatically.
Okay.
Okay. And if the data is really required, then there might be a different options in the S3 bucket. If you read about the storage classes, archive intelligent tidying or something, you can use that different classes, or you can move this object to archival method by using lifecycle policy. So you will get cost will be reduced basically if you use archival storage class.
For this one, you use any standard policy or Gracia? Anything is there?
By default, S3 bucket will create a standard storage classes basically. But if you have such a requirement in the project, let's say banking data, right? So banking data might require 6 months or 1 year or something, depend on their client requirement. So you can just get the requirement when you design the architecture, and in that case they required 6 months or something uh, data. Then you can just configure the lifecycle policy, keep only 1 month data in the standard class, and after 1 month you can just move it to archival. Okay, that is a backend managed process, but you need to just configure the lifecycle policy in the S3 bucket. From the management options you will get that.
Okay.
Yeah. And for the other part, like EC2 instance, I already explained, like if the utilization is not that much, so you can just reduce the instance type. And as a best practice, you don't need to create a ABS volume with the large space basically, 100 GB or 200 something. Okay, so you should start with the minimum size 10 GB or something, and then if there is a really required, you need to increase the disk space. So you can obviously increase the disk space anytime without taking any downtime. And for the cloud trail, I want to show that part, right? Any other questions on the cost optimization? And sometime company use one minute. Let me select the right region, Mumbai. Okay, there is a one more option. If you have in real time, there are lots of AWS accounts. So company use AWS organization feature basically. So they club their multiple AWS accounts for the billing part. So from our side in the our current project basically, so it's handled by the client team because we are the third party, for them. So we don't have access that. So they are using from their side different AWS accounts. They use organization feature service basically. If you just search organization, you will get that option. This one. So if you have a multiple AWS accounts, so you don't need to go each account and check the billings. You will get the details there. So CloudTrail is basically you are tracking your API calls basically. Who user login your AWS account and what API activity he does. Like let's say I'm trying to create a S3 bucket and deleting S3 bucket. So those kind of API activity will log in the CloudTrail basically. If you in interview panel, you in interview basically you might get the questions like what is the difference between CloudTrail and CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is basically just for the monitoring and log visualization, right? But CloudTrail is just CloudTrail is just to use for the compliance purpose, where you can track the API related activities, who user login, what services, what action he has taken. Okay, so if I just show you any one activity, just click on event history. Okay, and you can see here I am just log in with my root account, so you can see username root. Okay, sorry. So you can see here the event name basically, remote targets, put rules. Okay, because we have added the CloudWatch event, right? So and we have also used this lambda functions, stop cluster, start cluster, right? So you can see this kind of activity. If I just click on this a particular event, you can see we can see the access key here. Okay, it will not print the secret key here, and it will show the source IP. If I just copy this source IP, okay, and I want to check for which country belongs to this IP address, right? So there is one website, IP to location, or you can use any other website as well, but I know this one, ip to location.com. Okay, and you can, if you just enter the IP address here and just hit on lookup, it will gives you the country name basically. If you just scroll down, you can see the country name India and the region name Maharashtra and Mumbai, right? This is for the which I am using the internet provider basically. They belongs from the Mumbai basically. So that is the reason it's showing Mumbai one. Okay, so this way you can just track the IP address. Let's say you are getting any calls like this way, and they are flooding basically on your AWS account. So in the VPC, there is a NACL feature, right? Network Access Control Layer. So you can just get this IP address and you can just block there, because in the security group there is no option to block, right? But in NACL NACL layer, you can use this IP address to block it. Okay, you can just add the deny rule, and you can see other detail as well. What is the event resource type, event resource name? Okay, and the record basically event record. You can see here what username use, and it will also come the action basically. We just trigger, right? So it's just add that. Let me show one more thing. Today we haven't done any deletion, right? So let me try to delete any one record. I think we have deleted a stay function, right? So let's check that. Yeah, this one, right? Delete state machine. Okay, and in the event record you can see that event name, delete state machine, right? So this way it will gives the all the record details basically for the compliance perspective. Let's say this account has multiple users access, okay, and someone unnecessary or by mistakenly deleted any S3 bucket or something. So you can use this CloudTrail basically to track the API activity, just to trace who has done what kind of activities basically. Any question on this? Okay, if there are no questions, then we I think we need to stop here for today. Let me stop the recording.